Hello everyone and welcome to another horror movie review art time-lapse thing with me, Angela of Morbid Heart Designs. We are continuing down the 7 Deadly Sins of rabbit hole. We're almost through. We're almost done. This is 6 out of 7. And we're going to be talking about movie The Devil's Advocate is from 1997. It's a drama mystery thriller directed by Taylor Hackford, based off of a novel written by Andrew Niederman. Screenplay is by Jonathan Lemke and Tony Gilroy. It stars Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, Charlize Theron, and Jeffrey Jones. I will say I enjoy Jeffrey Jones' work, but I feel like he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride with the movies he gets cast in, but he's always brilliant. I absolutely love his work. The premise of this movie is a Florida lawyer hits it big, winning a huge case that lands him a job in New York City law firm. Him and his wife move, taking advantage of this biggest opportunity of his career, to a place and a world they don't understand, that is very different than who they are and how they've lived. Weird things start happening because, you know, why not? That's why it's on this channel. And they are definitely pushed and tested in ways they would never have imagined. As you noticed in my description about this movie, I didn't mention a horror movie, and it's not a horror, but I decided to include it in here because it made me personally extremely uncomfortable in a lot of different ways. And I'm actually not the only one who was torn on it. This actually did win Best Horror Film at the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror, which, you know, it does not a horror movie. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I'm not the only one who was like, I feel like this could be a horror movie. One thing that I noticed while watching The Devil's Advocate is that it's 2.5 hours long, so it's a long movie. But I didn't feel like it was 2.5 hours long. I really enjoyed the experience, watching it, the adventure, the journey. There was a lot going on. I don't know if it should be longer than it was, but I think it was a pretty damn good movie. I dare say almost perfect. I mean, look at the cast alone. You know the acting's gonna be superb. That long of a movie, the way they paced the story, what they went into, how things revealed themselves was very intriguing and kept you engaged. And since this is from 1997, obviously the special effects don't hold up very well, but the practical effects do, which is why practical is always better. There's only one thing I'd actually really change in this movie. I don't think it's necessary at all. There's a seduction scene, sex scene, that involves sucking on toes. I don't like feet. Feet are gross. Some of you might like it. I don't. But I think that scene could have been like completely done differently in my preference, and it'd be fine. It'd be great. That is my only real negative about this movie besides the special effects. Like, I can't think of anything that was utterly disappointing. The music was good, the editing was amazing, the editors were on point for this movie, and that would definitely have made or broke this movie. There's a lot of psychological manipulation that goes on with the editing, supernatural things that just wouldn't have the same effect if the editors were not on point. Other reasons I do feel this movie is close to perfection is there is amazing character growth, the sacrifice the characters make, and there's so many terrifying things too, especially since your villain is the devil himself. He's not gonna give up. I really like how that played into the overarching story. I guess we can skip to the moral of the story now. And a great thing about this is it touches upon vanity, and vanity is definitely, in my opinion, a root of all of the pride sin. It's what starts you down that rabbit hole and can fuck you over. And that's exactly what happens to the Kevin character portrayed by Keanu Reeves, is just a little bit of pride gets to him and the devil sneaks in and manipulates and just screws everything up. But because he's the devil, he can fuck with you for a long time. Like, he'll keep at you. He'll keep working and whittling you down till he gets you to do what he wants. I haven't really done my favorite death of many of these 7 Deadly Sins, but this movie definitely has my favorite death out of all of the sins. And that is Mary Ann's death. It was extremely intense scene. It was brutal. It was, you love the character, you don't want this to happen to her, but you can see it happening and what's going on and where things are going, and it's just gut-wrenching to watch that scene. Watch the movie. Let me know what you think of that scene, because it ripped my heart out. It gutted me. I'm sure you're not going to be surprised my rating is 5 Zombievers out of 5. I freaking love this movie. I wouldn't watch it every year, but it's definitely one worth watching every few years still to this day. So there you have my thoughts on Devil's Advocate, the movie I picked for our 7 Deadly Sins series, Pride. There was a lot of different options I could have done for Pride. I feel like that's an easy one to start a horror movie, base a horror movie around, and it is what it is, and it was brilliant, and I liked it, and I think you should watch it. And I really have nothing else to say at this moment beyond thank you as always to my patrons, and from my dark heart to yours. Have a wonderful day, and please don't die before my next video.